Hello, family. Yah's blessing to everyone. We left off at Jasher, chapter 41. Um, we will pick up there. Before I begin there, I will read a verse from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 13, verse 4. And this is what I wrote down as a cleave verse. So instead of the blonde hair, blue-eyed worshiping of the God that don't exist and has not died for our sins, this verse says, "Follow the Lord your God and fear him and keep his commandments and fear his voice. Him you shall serve, and to him you shall cleave. Our Father, Yah, the creator of the heavens and the earth, everything above, beneath, and on. There is no blonde man that has died for our sins and that is going to save us. Like I said in the previous video, we're responsible for our own sins. So we must cleave to the Lord to ask for forgiveness and repent of all we have done." Okay, family, Jasher chapter 41. At the revolution of the year, the sons of Jacob journeyed from Shechem, and they came to Hebron to their father Isaac, and they lived there, but their flocks and herds they fed daily in Shechem. For there was there in those days good and fattening pasture. Jacob and his sons and all their household lived in the valley of Hebron. It was in those days, in that year, being the 106th year of the life of Jacob, in the 10th year of Jacob's coming from Paddan Aram, that Leah, the wife of Jacob, died. She was 51 years old when she died in Hebron. Jacob and his sons buried her in the cave of the field of Machpelah, which is in Hebron, which Abraham had bought from the children of Heth for the possession of a burial place. The sons of Jacob lived with their father in the valley of Hebron. All the inhabitants of the land knew their strength, and their fame went throughout the land. Joseph, the son of Jacob, and his brother Benjamin, the sons of Rachel, the wife of Jacob, were yet young in those days, and did not go out with their brothers during their battles in all the cities of the Amorites. And when Joseph saw the strength of his brothers and their greatness, he praised them and extolled them. But he ranked himself greater than them and extolled himself above them. Jacob, his father, also loved him more than any of his sons, for he was a son of his old age. And through his love toward him, he made him a coat of many colors. And when Joseph saw that his father loved him more than his brothers, he continued to elevate himself above his brothers. And he brought to his father evil reports concerning them. The sons of Jacob, seeing all of Joseph's conduct toward them, and that their father loved him more than any of them, hated him and could not ever speak peaceably to him. Joseph was 17 years old, and he was still magnifying himself above his brothers and thought of raising himself above them. At that time he dreamed a dream, and he came to his brothers and told them his dream. And he said to them, I dreamed a dream, and behold, we were all binding sheaves in the field. And my sheaf rose and placed itself on the ground, and your sheaves surrounded it and bowed down to it. And his brothers answered him and said to him, What means this dream that you did dream? Did you imagine in your heart to reign or rule over us? And he still came and told the thing to his father Jacob. And Jacob kissed Joseph when he heard those words from his mouth. And Jacob blessed Joseph. When the sons of Jacob saw that their father had blessed Joseph and had kissed him, and that he loved him greatly, they became jealous of him and hated him all the more. After this, Joseph dreamed another dream and related the dream to his father in the presence of his brothers. And Joseph said to his father and brothers, Behold, I have again dreamed a dream, and behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars bowed down to me. And his father heard the words of Joseph and his dream. And seeing that his brothers hated Joseph on account of this matter, Jacob therefore rebuked Joseph before his brothers on account of this thing, saying, What does this dream mean which you have dreamed? And this magnifying yourself before your brothers who are older than you are. Do you imagine in your heart that I and your mother and your 11 brothers will come and bow down to you, that you speak these things? And his brothers were jealous of him on account of his words and dreams. They continued to hate him, and Jacob reserved the dreams in his heart. The sons of Jacob went one day to feed their father's flock in Shechem, for they were still herdsmen in those days. While the sons of Jacob were that day feeding in Shechem, they delayed, and the time of gathering in the cattle was past, and they had not arrived. And Jacob saw that his sons were delayed in Shechem. And Jacob said within himself, Perhaps the people of Shechem have risen up to fight against them. Therefore they have delayed coming today. And Jacob called Joseph, his son, and commanded him, saying, Behold, your brothers are feeding in Shechem this day, and look, they have not yet come back. Therefore go and see where they are, and bring back word to me concerning the welfare of your brothers and the welfare of the flock. And Jacob sent his son Joseph to the valley of Hebron. Joseph came for his brothers to Shechem, and could not find them. And Joseph went toward the field, which was near Shechem, to see where his brothers had turned. But he missed his road in the wilderness and didn't know which way he should go. And an angel of the Lord found him wandering in the road toward the field. And Joseph said to the angel of the Lord, I seek my brothers. Have you not heard where they are feeding? And the angel of the Lord said to Joseph, I saw your brothers feeding here, and I heard them say they would go to feed in Dothan. Joseph listened to the voice of the angel of the Lord and he went to his brothers in Dothan, and he found them in Dothan feeding the flock. Joseph advanced to his brothers, but before he had come near them, they had resolved to kill him. Simon said to his brothers, "Behold, the man of dreams is coming to us this day. So now come and let us kill him and cast him into one of the pits that are in the wilderness. When his father shall seek him for us, we will say an evil beast has devoured him." Reuben heard the words of his brothers concerning Joseph and said to them, "You should not do this thing. For how can we look up to our father Jacob? Cast him into this pit to die there. But do not put forth a hand on him to spill his blood." Reuben said this in order to deliver him from their hand, to bring him back to his father. When Joseph came to his brothers, he sat before them, and they rose upon him and seized him and struck him to the earth and stripped the coat of many colors which he had on. They took him and cast him into a pit, and in the pit there was no water, but serpents and scorpions. And Joseph was afraid of the serpents and scorpions that were in the pit. Joseph cried out with a loud voice, and the Lord hid the serpents and scorpions in the sides of the pit, and they did no harm to Joseph. And Joseph called out from the pit to his brothers and said to them, "What have I done to you? And in what have I sinned? Why do you not fear the Lord concerning me? Am I not of your bones and flesh? And is not Jacob your father, my father? Why do you do this thing to me this day? And how will you be able to look up to our father Jacob?" He continued to cry out and called to his brothers from the pit. And he said, "O Judah, Simon, and Levi, my brothers, lift me up from the place of darkness in which you have placed me, and come this day to have compassion on me. You, children of the Lord, the sons of Jacob, my father. And if I have sinned to you, are you not the sons of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? If they saw an orphan, they had compassion over him, or one that was hungry, they gave him bread to eat, or one that was thirsty, they gave him water to drink, or one that was naked, they covered him with garments. And how then can you withhold your pity from your brother? For I am your flesh and bones. And if I have sinned to you, certainly you will do this on account of my father." Joseph spoke these words from the pit, and his brothers could not listen to him, nor incline their ears to the words of Joseph. And Joseph was crying and weeping in the pit. And Joseph said, "Oh, that my father knew this day the act which my brothers have done to me, and the words which they have this day spoken to me." All his brothers heard his cries and weeping in the pit. And his brothers went and removed themselves from the pit, so that they might not hear the cries of Joseph and his weeping in the pit. That is the end of chapter 41, family. The whole time, I guess I should have been giving you the verse numbers of all the readings that I have been doing for all of these videos. My apologies for not giving you the verses. I will try to move forward, given the verses of the readings that I am reading to you from Jasher and from these scriptures that were removed from the Old Testament. These scriptures were hidden from us because the power of these scriptures to us and our family. So we're now at Jasher chapter 42, and I will try to get this right. Please forgive me if I mess it up. So chapter 42, verse 1. They went and sat on the opposite side, about the distance of a bow shot. And they sat there to eat bread. While they were eating, they held counsel together what was to be done with him, whether to kill him or to bring him back to his father. Verse 2, they were holding the counsel when they lifted up their eyes and saw at once there was a company of Ishmaelites coming at a distance by the road of Gilead, going down to Egypt. And Judah said to them, verse 3, and Judah said to them, what gain will it be us if we kill our brother? Perhaps Elohim will require him from us. This then is the counsel proposed concerning him, which you shall do to him. Look at this company of Ishmaelites going down to Egypt. Verse 4. So now let us dispose of him to them, and let not our hand be on him. They will lead him along with them, and he will be lost among the people of the land, and we will not put him to death with our own hands. And the proposal pleased his brothers, and they did according to the word of Judah. Verse 5. While they were discussing this matter, and before the company of Ishmaelites had come up to them, 7 trading men of Midian passed by them. As they passed, they were thirsty, and they lifted up their eyes and saw the same pit in which Joseph was held. And they looked and saw every species of bird was on him. Verse 6. These Midianites ran to the pit to drink water, for they thought that it contained water. And on coming to the pit, they heard the voice of Joseph crying and weeping in there. And they looked down into the pit, and they saw there was a youth of good-looking appearance and well-favored. Verse 7. They called to him and said, who are you, and who brought you here? And who placed you in this pit in the wilderness? And they all assisted to raise up Joseph, and they drew him out and brought him up from the pit, and took him and went away on their journey and passed by his brothers. Verse 8, and these said to them, why do you do this? To take our servant from us and to go away. Certainly, we placed this youth in the pit because he rebelled against us. And you came and bring him up and lead him away. Now then, give us back our servant. Verse 9, and the Midianites answered and said to the sons of Jacob, this is your servant, or does this man attend you? Perhaps you are all his servants, for he is more handsome and well-favored than any of you. And why do you all speak falsely to us? Verse 10, so we will not listen to your words, nor give you our attention. For we found the youth in the pit in the wilderness, and we took him. We will therefore go on. Verse 11, and all the sons of Jacob approached them and rose up to them and said to them, Give us back our servant. And why will you all die by the edge of the sword? And the Midianites cried out against them, and they drew their swords and approached to fight the sons of Jacob. Then Simon rose up from, verse 12. Then Simon rose up from his seat against them, and sprang on the ground and drew his sword and approached the Midianites. And he gave a terrible shout before them, so that his shouting was heard at a distance, and the earth shook at Simon's shouting. Verse 13. The Midianites were terrified on account of Simon and the noise of his shouting, and they fell on their face and were excessively alarmed. Verse 14. Simon said to them, Surely I am Simon, the son of Jacob, the Hebrew, who have only with my brothers destroyed the city of Shechem and the cities of the Amorites. So shall Elohim moreover do to me if all your brothers, the people of the Midian, and also the kings of Canaan, were to come with you, they could not fight against me. Verse 15. Now therefore, give us back the youth whom you have taken, or I'll give your flesh to the birds of the skies and the beasts of the earth. Verse 16. The Midianites were more afraid of Simon, and they approached the sons of Jacob with terror and fright, and with pathetic words, saying, verse 17, Certainly you have said that the young man is your servant, and that he rebelled against you. And therefore you placed him in the pit. What then will you do with a servant who rebels against his master? So now sell him to us, and we will give you all that you require of him. The Lord was pleased to do this in order that the sons of Jacob should not kill their brother. Verse 18. And the Midianites saw that Joseph was of a good-looking appearance and well-favored. They desired him in their hearts and were urgent to purchase him from his brothers. The sons of Jacob listened to the Midianites, and they sold their brother Joseph to them for 20 pieces of silver. Reuben, their brother, was not with them. And the Midianites took Joseph and continued their journey to Gilead. Oh, that was 19. Sorry. Verse 20. They were going along the road, and the Midianites repented of what they had done, and having purchased the young man, and one said to the other, What is this thing that we have done in taking this youth from the Hebrews, who is of good-looking appearance and well-favored? Verse 21, Perhaps this youth is stolen from the land of the Hebrews, and why then have we done this thing? If he be sought for and found in our hands, we shall die through him. Verse 22, Now certainly hardy and powerful men have sold him to us, the strength of one of whom you saw this day. Perhaps they stole him from his land with their might and with their powerful arm, and have therefore sold him to us for the small value which we gave them. Verse 23. Well, I missed 22. While they were thus discussing together, they looked and saw the company of Ishmaelites, which was coming at first, and which the sons of Jacob saw, was advancing toward the Midianites. The Midianites said to each other, Come, let us sell this youth to the company of the Ishmaelites, who are coming toward us. We will take for him the little that we gave for him, and we will be delivered from his evil. Verse 24. And they did so, and they reached the Ishmaelites, and the Midianites sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, which they had given for him to his brothers. 25. And the Midianites went on their road to Gilead, and the Ishmaelites took Joseph, and they let him ride on one of the camels, and they were leading him to Egypt. 26. When Joseph heard that the Ishmaelites were proceeding to Egypt, Joseph lamented and wept at this thing, that he was to be so far removed from the land of Canaan, from his father. And he wept bitterly while he was riding on the camel. One of their men observed him and made him go down from the camel and walk on foot. And still Joseph continued to cry and weep. And he said, "O my father, my father." 27. One of the Ishmaelites rose up and struck Joseph on the cheek, and still he continued to weep. And Joseph was fatigued on the road and was unable to proceed on account of the bitterness of his soul. They all struck him and afflicted him in the road. Excuse me, family. And they terrified him in order that he might cease from weeping. 28. And the Lord saw the condition of Joseph and his trouble, and the Lord brought down on those men darkness and confusion, and the hand of everyone that struck him became withered. 29. And they said to each other, "What is this thing that God has done to us in the road?" And they knew not that this befell them on account of Joseph. And the men proceeded on the road, and they passed along the road of Ephrath, where Rachel was buried. 30. Joseph reached his mother's grave, and Joseph hurried and ran to his mother's grave and fell on the grave and wept. 31. Joseph cried aloud on his mother's grave and said, "O my mother, my mother, O you who did give me birth, awake now and rise and see your son, how he has been sold for a slave and no one to pity him." 32. O rise and see your son. Weep with me on account of my troubles, and see the heart of my brothers. 33. Arouse, my mother, arouse. Awake from your sleep for me, and direct your battles against my brothers. Oh, how have they stripped me of my coat, and sold me already twice for a slave, and separated me from my father, and there is no one to pity me. 34. Arouse and lay your cause against them before the Lord, and see whom Elohim will justify in the judgment, and whom he will condemn. Rise, O my mother, rise, awake from your sleep, and see my father, how his soul is with me this day, and comfort him and ease his heart. 36. And Joseph continued to speak these words, and Joseph cried aloud and wept bitterly on his mother's grave. And he ceased speaking. And from bitterness of heart, he became still as a stone on the grave. And Joseph heard a voice speaking to him from beneath the ground, which answered him with bitterness of heart, and with a voice of weeping and praying in these words: my son Joseph, I have heard the voice of your weeping and the voice of your lamentation. I have seen your tears. I know your troubles, my son, and it grieves me for your sake. An abundant grief is added to my grief. That was 38. 39. Now therefore, my son, Joseph, my son, hope in the Lord, and wait for him, and do not fear. For the Lord is with you. He will deliver you from all trouble. 40. Rise, my son, go down to Egypt with your masters, and do not fear. For the Lord is with you, my son. And she continued to speak like these words to Joseph. And she was still. And Joseph heard this, and he wondered greatly at this. And he continued to weep. After this, one of the Ishmaelites observed him crying and weeping on the grave, and his anger was set ablaze against him. And he drove him from there, and he struck him and cursed him. 42. 41. And Joseph said to the men, may I find grace in your sight to take me back to my father's house, and he will give you abundance of riches. And they answered him, saying, you are not a slave, and where is your father? Or are you not a slave, and where is your father? This is 43. And if you had a father, you would not already twice have been sold for a slave for so little value. Their anger was still aroused against him, and they continued to strike him and to chastise him. And Joseph wept bitterly. 44. The Lord saw Joseph's affliction, and the Lord again struck these men and chastised them. And the Lord caused darkness to envelop them on the earth. And the lightning flashed, and the thunder roared, and the earth shook at the voice of the thunder and of the mighty wind. The men were terrified and knew not where they should go. 45. The beast and camels stood still, and they led them, but they would not go. They struck them, and they crouched on the ground. The men said to each other, what is this that Elohim has done to us? What are our transgressions, and what are our sins that this thing has thus befallen us? 46. One of them answered and said to them, perhaps on account of the sin of afflicting this slave has this thing happened this day to us. Now we should implore him strongly to forgive us, and then we shall know on whose account this evil befalls us. If Elohim will have compassion over us, then we shall know that all this comes to us on account of the sin of afflicting this slave. 47. And the men did so, and they supplicated Joseph and pressed him to forgive them. And they said, we have sinned to the Lord and to you. Now therefore vouchsafe to request of your Elohim that he shall put away this death from among us, for we have sinned to him. 48. Joseph did according to their words, and the Lord listened to Joseph. And the Lord put away the plague which he had inflicted on those men on account of Joseph. The beasts rose up from the ground, and they conducted them, and they went on. The raging storm abated, and the earth became tranquilized. And the men proceeded on their journey down to go down to Egypt. The men knew that this evil had befallen them on account of Joseph. And they said to each other, "We now know that it was on account of his affliction that this evil befell us. Now why shall we bring this death on our souls? Let us hold counsel what to do to this slave." 50. And one answered and said, "Certainly he told us to bring him back to his father. So come, let us take him back, and we will go to the place that he will tell us, and take from his family the price that we gave for him, and we will then go away." 51. One answered again and said, "Behold, this counsel is very good, but we cannot do so, for the way is very far from us, and we cannot leave our road." 52. One more answered and said to them, "This is the counsel to be adopted. We will not swerve from it. Behold, we are this day going to Egypt. And when we shall have come to Egypt, we will sell him there at a high price, and we will be delivered from his evil." 53. And this thing pleased the men, and they did so. They continued their journey to Egypt with Joseph. Thank you, family. That's the end of chapter 42 of Jasher. I appreciate you listening to the stories.